Hi, this is AstroKrys from CodaQueenAstrology, and today's video is going to be on the Libra new moon, and I'm also going to be touching base on the human design gate that this Libra new moon is activating. This is a very interesting new moon as Mars is a big player in the moon, and we also have Uranus bringing in shocking surprises. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and comment below. Let me know where you're from. If you're not new to my channel, thanks for coming back and supporting me. Much gratitude. I'd like to invite you all to check out my IG. I host weekly lives where I have Ask the Astrologer segment, and you can get to ask me questions. I select people from the audience and I answer their questions in regard to maybe a question on astrology or questions about the astro weather. So go ahead, head to my description. You'll see the link there. I'd also like to invite you to join my Astro group on Facebook, where I host private astrology lectures, spiritual development lectures, and also bring other spiritual teachers to share their knowledge and teach us about their practice. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and check out the description below. Thank you so much. So let's get started with the new moon in Libra. This is a very interesting new moon. Now, when we first look at the chart, it doesn't feel like this moon is extremely positive. It feels like you do need to interpret the chart and kind of sense the energy around the aspects and how all the planets are communicating with each other. So there's some mixed qualities with this new moon, some that are going to be a little bit more forward moving and some that are going to be a little bit more stagnant, but it is going to be a change most definitely from the past lunations that we've had recently. So when we talk about new moons incorporate the energy of the sun, which is masculine, and the moon, which is feminine. And this is when they join together. So they're together at the same exact degree. And this is like reprogramming the moon. So the sun reprograms all the planets that sit with him during this time. And the reprogramming usually lasts 17 minutes. This is a aspect that we call Kazemi, but it's mainly used to describe that happened with the planets versus the moon itself, but it's very similar to the programming. The moon gets programmed every month, as we have a new moon every month, and sometimes more than one new moon a month. But the planets have their cycle. So Mercury is the other planet that gets reprogrammed more often than just say Venus, Mars, Saturn, and Jupiter. So when we look at the new moon this time around, we are having new beginnings in the area of Libra. Everyone has a Libra house, even if you don't have Libra planets in your chart. No matter what, we all have a Libra house. An example, for me, I am a Leo rising, and my third house is ruled by Libra. So this new moon is happening in my third house, and third house rules communication, rules sales, rules neighborhoods, rules siblings. So I'm going to have new beginnings around those themes of my life. And then we have to see how everything else kind of communicates and expresses energy, so you can see this manifest more into your life. So new moons bring new beginnings. However, during the new moon, when the moon is being reprogrammed, that's a black moon. We are not necessarily making any abundance rituals or any manifestation rituals during that time. You do want to wait until the moon moves out of the zodiac sign that it conjunct with the sun, and that's typically going to be the neighboring sign. The rule of thumb is 2 days after the new moon. So like that, the nice crescent is shining in the sky, and that's when the energy of Artemis, the moon, is born. So going back to the conjunction that we have with the sun and the moon, we also have Mars there. So at the same time that we have the sun and the moon creating this new moon conjunction, we're also having the sun create a new cycle with Mars. And this happens approximately 26 months, every 26 months. This is called the Synodic Cycle. This is the cycle in which gets started when the planet conjuncts the sun, and then we measure the time that it takes for this planet to make another conjunction to the sun. And every time they do conjunct, it doesn't always happen in the same zodiac. So the next time they conjunct, it's going to be November of 2023. They're not going to be in the sign of Libra. The last time the sun and Mars conjuncted in Libra to create a Libra synodic cycle was in October 21st of 2006, and they were at the later degrees of Libra at 28 degrees. So as you can see, this is very significant because it's starting a new cycle from that point as well. So with Mars getting reprogrammed along with the moon, it's talking about our vitality. Now Mars is considered an energy of moving forward, of taking initiative. It rules Aries, so right now it is in its sign of detriment, but it's in mutual reception with Venus in Scorpio, which is actually supporting Mars, because Venus rules the sign of Libra and Mars rules the sign of Scorpio. It's the ancient ruler of that. So even though we're having Mars get reprogrammed with the sun, it's actually harmonizing because Venus is there to kind of tailor down and have Mars not act before thinking, because Venus and her involvement and the rulership of Venus in Libra is to harmonize, to come to an agreement, to make fair judgments, versus the energy of Mars is I want to conquer, I want to do this, I want to do that. And Venus is going to help Mars in regard to the response. And on a mundane level, we're going to feel this. Now, the day that Mars and the sun are programming might feel like we're getting pulled in a lot of directions, because Mars is going to be receiving a new programming for the next cycle, which you might feel like you're doing too many things, multitasking, things like that, and feel a little bit of the burnout. But Mars is the only planet that can actually take the sun's heat. In Vedic astrology, all the planets suffer next to the sun. The moon suffers, Mercury suffers, Venus suffers, all the planets suffer. The only one that can take the sun's heat is Mars. So if anyone's willing to take that, it's gonna be him. So in regard to our vitality and how we feel, we might feel a little bit exhausted, like I said, but nothing that's really gonna change our output, action, and direction. Now, the other tight aspect that the sun, moon, and Mars are making during this new moon is a quincunx with Uranus. Now, this is not a traditional aspect. This is an aspect that technically represents 6th house energy. Now, in natal astrology, the 6th house is a very challenging house. It's a karma house. It's connected to hard work and daily routines and daily responsibilities. So all of us have such things, right? Some are lucky enough not to have huge obligations around those areas of life, but the majority of the population do. So when we analyze the energy of this quincunx, it carries that hardship where we have to kind of work through things. It's not as easy flowing as a trine or a sextile, but it's the energy of Uranus. Now, Uranus is going to ease up. If we were to have this quincunx speaking to us from the perspective of Saturn, it's going to flavor the energy a little different. But with the perspective of Uranus, we're just going to feel a little jolt or more push in regard to how we're responding. It does create some impulsiveness, so we need to kind of step back and really step into that energy of Libra. The good thing is that Uranus is actually in the sign of Taurus, which is a sign that Venus also rules. So Venus is also delegating and harmonizing and kind of taking control of this Uranus and Taurus energy. And yes, it's in detriment, but like I said, the mutual reception starts to kind of assist and make sure it works out some kinks. Now, Venus transiting the sign of Scorpio is not an easy transit for Venus, as Venus has to work really deep in the underworld and release fears and traumas and work through a lot of insecurities, and also matters of money, matters of joint resources and taxes and things like that, budgets. So now Venus getting close to exit the sign of Scorpio. She's at this big maturity level because she's getting close to the 29th degree. She's still at the 28th degree here, but very close to the 29th degree, where at that point she seeks liberation and she starts anew in the new zodiac sign. So that's another intensity point. And actually in Vedic astrology, this point right here is called Gandanta. It's a karmic knot. So the actions that we're taking now are really helping us and assisting us to align with our path, and also to release things, change past patterns and karma. I recently did a video on karmic patterns in astrology. You could check it out here. The description has the link as well. Very interesting. I'm doing several other videos, so you might want to also hit that notification bell so you won't miss out when I post new videos on that. Karmic astrology is very interesting. It gives you a lot of tools so you can align to your life purpose. So yeah, check that out. But Venus being here in this point of alchemization, when she's leaving the element of fixed water, and this is fixed intense water, protective water, and then merging to fire, which is mutable fire. Mutable fire is this big spreading fire that just like, it's not a candle anymore. It's not a little bonfire. This is a fire that's spreading. That's the energy of Sagittarius. So because of the agitation that water has when we mix it, or we introduce fire to it, vice versa, the agitation fire feels when water is introduced. All these points where we have water merging into fire are considered karmic knots. And that's also going to be the case for Cancer merging into Leo, and also Pisces merging into Aries. So those are very sensitive points. Now Venus is running the show here because Venus is ruling the new moon, and Venus is also ruling Mars and ruling Uranus. So her say and her influence are quite significant. Being in this sensitive point can assist us in working out some of this karma, changing some patterns, but it can be a little bit of a challenging time if we're resisting it. So just be mindful of that. However, Venus is gonna, be transiting the sign of Sagittarius, and it's gonna release some of this intensity that it feels in Scorpio, and that's happening a little bit after the Libra new moon. Another thing that I noticed here is that the Sun, Moon, and Mars are actually making a wide trine to Saturn and to Jupiter. And from just the aspects perspective, we don't see that this trine is very tight. However, when you measure the distance between Saturn and Jupiter, they are exactly 16 degrees apart. And to find the midpoint, that means the middle ground between those degrees, that means it's 8. So if we add 6, where Saturn is currently sitting, plus 8 degrees, we're going to get 14. Which is 1 degree off from the 13 degree point that the Sun and Moon are. So it is actually making a trine to Saturn and Jupiter via that midpoint. So midpoints work a little different, because what we get is we look at a planet, and then that would be point A, and then you get point B, that's another planet, and then you want to find the middle ground, meaning midpoint. And any planet that triggers that midpoint is essentially triggering both planets, because the distance between both of them speak to each other. And then when you hit that little midpoint there, it like surges energy to both, which is actually really good, because Saturn in Aquarius is actually in rulership, and then Jupiter not doing quite so well in the transit of Aquarius. But this is the last time Jupiter is going to be in the sign of Aquarius. After Jupiter turns direct, it's going to exit Aquarius and head on to Pisces, and that's a rulership that Jupiter fairly enjoys, because he rules Pisces. So we won't feel this energy of Aquarius again through Jupiter's eyes for another 12 years. And because both of these planets are retrograde, these are things that we've been working on throughout the year. So whatever this Libra house and Aquarius house trigger in your chart, it's going to still be talking about the past agenda of this Aquarius house. So look at where your Aquarius house is and see how you can actually benefit from this trine aspect, because Saturn actually grounds manifestation. Saturn ultimately rules Earth, and Jupiter brings abundance, adventurousness, desire to collect knowledge, to preach, to teach, to connect, to explore. So in the sign of Aquarius, it's literally reinventing the wheel. It's more scientific, and it's looking to create more things that are going to assist the masses and harmonize the rulership of Leo and Aquarius, meaning the people in leadership are to give a little more to the people itself, because that's the energy of Aquarius. Aquarius rules the people. So Saturn being there is also looking out for the people, even though it might not look like that. A lot of the things are being implemented for the people, or to affect the people in some sort. How it affects, that's when you have to look at the aspects, whether it's going to be supporting or not supporting. But typically with the energy of Aquarius, it's supposed to be supporting. It does use scientific processes, and I'm not going to comment about this because I'm very neutral and I respect everyone's opinion. But we are seeing some of these new scientific things come up and being required for the population. So another thing that I noticed was that Venus had recently, a few days before the new moon, formed a trine with Neptune and also a sextile with Pluto. And that's actually really pleasant. Venus and Pluto bring this passion and intensity and just desire. It's also very sexually charged. It's in a good aspect. Sextile is very supportive. Venus actually rules the sextile, so it's energy of fertility and money and love and creation and all that Venus rules. But we do have to take action, meaning we do have to flirt, we do have to play with this energy. And then Pluto brings that intensity. And from the energy of Capricorn, it's a little bit more serious. However, Capricorn is a cardinal sign, so it does like starting things. So it can solidify love, it can bond love a little tighter, it can make love a little bit more permanent. So we had Venus kind of looking into that and working on love matters and money matters and things of that sort. And then she's making that trine to Neptune, which is a very, very romanticizing energy, very fairy tale type of energy, lost in love, very musical, very artistic, also very spiritual. So those are all matters that Venus had been kind of expressing, while she's also having some hard aspects, like she's squaring Jupiter. And when Venus squares Jupiter, it brings some overindulgent tendencies. So we might be overdoing things, over romanticizing. The same thing happens with Neptune, because Neptune is very unbound energy. It's just boundless. It's the ruler of the seas, right? That's the majority of the majority of our earth is covered in water. So yeah, very boundless energy, but not necessarily bad. It's not necessarily bad, but it can be what we're not really seeing too clearly, because we're either taking on too much or doing too much, overindulging, just kind of loving life a little bit too intensely, and not necessarily paying close attention to all the little minute details. So yeah. And lastly, the last aspect I wanted to speak about was this opposition that the Sun and the Moon and Mars and Mercury are making with Chiron. Now, Chiron is in Aries, and also it's retrograde. So Mars is ruling Chiron, and Mars is opposing Chiron. Now, this can trigger a little bit of pain and discomfort. It could also be physical. I would be extra careful with your head, because Mars rules the head, and also the kidneys, because the energy of Libra is the kidneys. By no means this is medical advice. If you're feeling like crap and you need to see a doctor, then that's what you need to do. Astrology can help you with, give you themes, but you still need to seek a professional, either doctor, therapist, whatever it is, to assist you in treatment. But I can tell you astrology will guide you there, so then you know what tools you need, which would be a doctor, right, to feel better. But generally, the energy of Libra rules the kidneys, rules it overlaps in rulership with the reproductive system. It also rules veins and the sugar in our blood and things like that. So when we have Mars there, it's kind of aggravating those things. This days in particular, we need to make sure we're drinking lots of water. And I will also throw in eating a healthy portion of fruits. The reason is you want to support those Venusian organs and make sure that you're flushing toxins. Mars rules toxins. So just be very mindful during this period. You don't necessarily just want to do this during the new moon. You want to drink lots of water a few days before, all the way throughout the new moon, until a few days after. I mean, I drink lots of water all the time, but I know there's a lot of you that don't necessarily drink that much water. So make more of an effort during this time. So with this opposition, we have an opportunity to heal ourselves. Now, it doesn't mean that the healing is going to be painless. We might feel some type of emotional pain, maybe physical pain like headaches and slight discomfort that way, dizziness if we're not drinking enough water or having our system regulated, right? So on a different note, this can be easier for us to release some trauma. Now, Venus in Scorpio has been working on this, and because Mars is the one that's making the aspect to Chiron, Mars is going to take the initiative. Mars is the one right now that's taking action, but not necessarily taking action the same way he's used to, which is that Scorpio or Aries way, very upfront. Let's do this. This is the plan. Bam, bam, bam. This is more like, okay, I want to fix this situation. I want to make it fair for both. There's you and I in this relationship, right? Not just I. So Mars is taking a different perspective. Now, he's not as patient, but because he is being reprogrammed at the same time with the Sun, that is going to help Mars, because the Sun is wise and spiritual and positive. And anytime that we have planets making a synodic cycle with the sun, it brings positivity to that planet. It does give the planet a new agenda. So in regard to the agenda that Mars is going to have for the next 2 years, it's going to be really tied in with relationships and contracts and business partnerships and collaborations and the legal system and laws and policies and diplomatic matters, because that's all that Libra rules. But Mars is going to go in there and perfect these systems, and the cycle is always going to have that signature of Venus and Mars until we create a new synodic cycle. So Venus there is going to help Mars, and we're having this aspect with Chiron, which is bringing in some healing, but not without work. But we have to understand that when we work towards something and we attain it with our own merits, it's much more meaningful. But because Chiron has been retro, this is not something that's new. This is work that we've been working on, most likely from past points when Chiron first hit this 10-degree mark. So you can look at your chart and see what you have between the cardinal houses, and that's going to be Libra, Aries, Cancer, and Capricorn, between 9 degrees all the way to 25 degrees. And I'm giving this large range because of all the energy in Libra starting from 13 to 20. So I'm giving you an orb. If you have any planets within that orb, then you're doing some healing. You're getting some momentum, you're moving, you're purging, you're releasing from your system, and you're truly rewiring this Libra area of your life. So that's all I wanted to mention in regard to the astrology portion. I'm going to start talking about the human design and touch on those gates. Now in human design, the gate that's being activated by the sun, the moon, and Mars is gate 48. And that's actually located in the spleen, which is an intuitive gate. So gate 48 is a gate that likes to wait to take action. The reason being, it believes that it needs to gather knowledge and gather and gather and gather, and it feels like it never has enough knowledge to take action. However, this gate does bring a lot of knowledge, and the challenge here is to allow yourself to trust that you don't need to know anything else, that all you need to know is that you're ready, and letting go of fear, doubts, insecurities that are preventing you from expressing and creating through this gate is what you need to do to really align to this energy. Because this gate is called the gate of wisdom. And this is why this gate searches and searches, because it's gathering wisdom and it thinks it needs more, and it's trying to perfect systems. So this is very interesting that we have 3 planets there rewiring this gate 48 and letting us know that we are ready. We're ready to take initiative. We're ready to really dive deep into our gifts and express them out to the world. The sun, moon, and Mars here are encouraging us and letting us know that we have to trust our intuition and trust that we know enough, and that we will know what it is we need to know and what it is we don't need to know. This gate is working on us having faith in our knowledge, in our wisdom, in our opinions, and also developing the courage to take action and to take the leap forward. Even though we may still feel like we're out of our comfort zone, or we still feel like we need to attain more information, it's just not necessary. What we gathered here, we can take action on. And this is really going to activate a lot of people. We have the Sun, Moon, and Mars there. The Sun is career and vitality and our soul purpose. And then we have the Moon, which is our emotion and our innermost desires, and also how we express our needs. And then we have Mars, which is action and vitality. So we're having new beginnings in regard to how we are taking actions, how we're responding to our environment. And this gate of wisdom is letting us know that on a mundane level, we're all ready. We're ready to trust our intuition. We're ready to take that leap. We're ready to take initiative, and we do not need to be planning and contemplating any longer. And as we embrace this, we're allowing ourselves to really embody that we don't need to continue gathering knowledge, because the mastery in this gate is to really step into our wisdom and express ourselves with confidence and really own up to that feeling that we're wise and we no longer need to continue collecting and attaining and searching for knowledge. This will build our foundation, and having a strong foundation will build that confidence, and that is where the magic happens. If this gate is unbalanced, it can cause paralysis, as we'll be stuck in, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to learn, I don't know what to talk about, I don't know what to take initiative in. So very scale energy of that Libra, like back and forth, teeter totter. So if you find yourself in this situation, one of the writing assignments that you can do is journaling on why is it that you still need to collect more knowledge. Contemplate on the answer. Have this answer intuitively come out. Even if it doesn't make sense, there is a reason why you're responding in this fashion. So just let it flow out, embrace it, and reread it after. Maybe it'll make sense to you. Also, what is it that needs to be healed, released, or aligned, or even brought up into your awareness so you can trust yourself more. Sometimes it can be negative karma patterns, or things that we heard in our early childhood that kind of planted that seed that we always needed to seek validation and to perfect systems and things like that. So we're self-doubting ourselves. So journal on that. And another one is, how is it that I can connect to my divine wisdom and to divine source? What is it that I need to do to deepen this connection? Those are some good questions that you can contemplate on and really embrace the answers. Even if it doesn't make sense, go back, read them, see if you connect to them intuitively. We're connecting to the spleen energy through this gate. So follow your intuition. And remember, the spleen doesn't like to give you a lot of answers. It says one answer, you take it. Now, the affirmation that I would like you to embrace during the new moon, so you can actually do your little ritual during the new moon, and just affirm this. And this will be a releasing ritual. It's not going to be a manifesting ritual. I did talk about this in the beginning of the video, that we manifest when the moon's a crescent moon, but during the black moon we can release, and that's the new moon. So this affirmation should really help you in embodying the 48 gate, which is, I am a depth of knowledge. The education life experiences and adventures that I've had have aligned me to Divine Source, so I trust my knowledge and I express my divine self. I am divinely connected with Source and I trust my intuition. Thank you guys so much. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell, like and comment below. And if you like this video, you might like these other two. Again, I express my gratitude to you for coming back and listening to me. Lots of love and happy manifesting for the new moon in Libra. Take care. This is AstroKrys from CodaQueen Astrology.